It's time for today's travel and cruise industry news. With the latest from travel and cruises around the world, here's your host, Chillie Falls.
Good morning. Welcome to Travel and Cruise Industry. Whoa, where did that come from? Hold on here. I had yeah. Sorry, folks. That I've got a second show going on somewhere. Wow. Talking about screwing up. I can't find where. There. Maybe that's it. Okay. Let's get rid of that. Let's come back here. Hopefully this works. Sorry about that. That was awful. I had two shows going, one on a delay, and I couldn't find where it is. I think I'm there now. Somebody drop me a chat if you can hear me, and just that I am back to normal. Hi, Chillie and all. Carol says, hey, everybody from Nikki. Somebody, Chillie, got a few details on the pictures mixed up, but did a great job. Okay. That was from Hot Air Tom. Are you guys hearing me okay? I can't tell. Sound is fine. Okay, good. Well, because I have some important stuff this morning. All right. First of all, I don't even know if I got this said to start off with. Welcome to Travel and Cruise Industry News on Monday, the 20th day of December, as we start Christmas week. Today is National Sangria Day, guys. And if you've never done it before, you can try it yourself. It's pretty easy to do. Get some fruit like apples and oranges. You can try different kinds of fruits. Mix it with some orange juice, a little sweetener. I like some brown sugar or cane sugar, and a liqueur like brandy or rum, depending on your taste. And then a bold, fruity, dry Spanish red wine, and put it on over ice. And we usually make a big tub of it when we do it. But anyway, it's National Sangria Day, so consider going out and making you some sangria and testing it tonight. All right, cruise ship sailing today from U.S. ports, December the 20th, 2021, up in Baltimore. We've got American Cruise Line Constellation down in Amelia Island, the American Cruise Line Independence sails. Port Canaveral, Independence of the Seas, Disney Dream, and Carnival Elation. Down in West Palm Beach, Grand Classica sails today. Of course, she's going to have a name change coming up here, not too distant future. From Fort Lauderdale, the Celebrity Apex, the Enchanted Princess, both sail. Down in Miami, Freedom of the Seas, Carnival Conquest, Disney Magic 7 Seas Explorer. In Tampa, Brilliance of the Seas out in Galveston, Carnival Breeze sails from Galveston. Los Angeles Long Beach, Carnival Radiance. Los Angeles San Pedro, Viking Orion, Navigator of the Seas, and Grand Princess all sail today. And headlines this morning: facial biometrics introduced at New Orleans. We'll talk about that. Symphony of the Seas issues 2 Carnival ships covering for Carnival Horizon. Some MSC Magnifica Cruises Canceled, and Carnival Temporarily Halts Smoking. That and lots more live at 11 today. All right, nobody ever did guess the port of call yesterday. I'll flash that real quick before we get to things. So somebody just stick a guess in there. I will. If somebody will guess, even if you're wrong, I'll tell you the answer by the end of the show. So, all right, I've announced it several times before. Have a very special guest this morning. He and I talked earlier. So, with no further ado, this is Kevin Lowe. My guest this morning on Chillie Chats is Lowe Down with Kevin Lowe. Kevin, welcome to Chillie Chats.
Chillie, I'm super excited to be here. Thank you.
All right. I got so many questions, so many areas I could go with this. I guess the biggest thing is just to give us a little synopsis of your life story up to today.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for inviting me onto the show. So yeah, I think probably the pivotal point in my life was the year 2003, and up until that point in my life, at which point I was 17 years old, a junior in high school. I lived a really normal life growing up. I got to do some amazing things, got to travel a lot with my family growing up. We did a lot of amazing vacations and got to see some incredible places. Like going to Alaska and down to the Florida Keys and even doing like awesome stuff like riding dirt bikes. I got my first dirt bike at like 3 years old, and dirt bikes and four-wheelers were huge for me. 16 years old, got my driver's license. I got my dream truck. It was a 96 Ford F-150 4x4. It was raised with big mud tires, and oh man, it was my baby. And and so life was going great at that point in 2003 until all of a sudden it wasn't. And it wasn't came with the news that I had a brain tumor. I had been having some medical issues that we weren't getting any answers for. And so we finally had changed my doctor, and that doctor immediately recognized that something wasn't right. And so he sent me to a specialist. That specialist sent me to have an MRI, and the MRI results are what showed that I had a brain tumor. The brain tumor was very large. It was comparable to the size of a plum, was positioned basically right like in the middle of my brain. It had completely encased my pituitary gland, was in the crosshairs of my optic nerve, and was pressing against my carotid artery. It was so severe in the fact that they literally said that I had 6 months to live if it was not removed. Luckily it was not cancerous, but it was still, it was going to take my life. And that was a big deal for me, as 17 years old, to think how close I came within 6 months to my life being over, and wouldn't even had any clue. And so anyways, but I had the leading pediatric neurosurgeon literally an hour from our home over in Orlando, Florida, and had him an amazing group of doctors at an awesome hospital. And so we were very confident, and the doctors, I mean, they acted like it was no big deal. They deal with tumors all the time, and even the pediatric neurosurgeon, he said, he's like, he had sure everything was going to be fine. Said I'd be out of school for like 3-4 weeks. As I always joke, that the thing I was the most upset about was that he said that I wouldn't be able to ride my four-wheeler for like 6 months, to give my head time to heal. And for myself, that was a big deal. And anyways, I go into surgery on October 28th, 2003. And that was kind of the moment when my life changed, because my life was saved. The tumor was removed, but at a cost no one ever expected. And that came in the way of me awaking from surgery to be left completely blind. And so I compare it. I tell people the comparison to let people understand the magnitude of this situation. As I often compare it to the fact that at that moment, my life that I had died on the operating room table, and a new life began. And so it's been 18 years since that day, which seems hard to even just fathom that amount of time has passed, because so much of my life today still revolves around the sighted life I had, and in remembering what things look like, and and such. And so anyways, that's kind of my past that's led me on this path that, that I'm on today, and traveling and trying to figure out where in the world it's headed. So,
yeah. All right. The next obvious leading question for me, and since my audience, I have two audiences. I have my basic travel cruising audience, which I consider them normal folk. And then I've got folks like me and you that have some kind of disability or accessible issues. And so I've got both audiences that I cater to. But you owned and operated and were a travel agent for some time and recently had to close it. So I guess tell us a little bit about Better Days Travel and how that all came about and ended.
Of course. So after I went blind, at that moment, every kind of thought, idea, dream I had for the future was kind of taken from me. Now, thankfully, I was not one of those kids in my 11th grade year at high school who had my future all planned out. I'm very thankful that wasn't the case, because any idea for the future was gone. And so I find myself in these years after becoming blind, had all these things happening, trying to just get used to living again and learning all these new skills, like how to use talking software on a computer and learning Braille and how to get around with a cane and all of this stuff. And it finally led me to this point where I participated in a job readiness program through the Center for the Visually Impaired. And they did this whole program, but the whole point that I signed up in the program was that at the end of it, they would hook you up with an internship at a local business. And so for myself, there were two areas that I was interested in. One was travel, the other was radio. And so they would end up setting me up with an internship at a local AM radio station where I would work on the morning drive show. And then the other internship was at a local travel agency. And so because the reason for travel is because, I got to travel a lot as a kid. And I realized, though, that even after I lost my eyesight, that traveling has always continued to be something that I've loved. And I can't tell you, I think it's been every cruise that I've been on after becoming blind, we have had at least one person come up to us, to me and whoever I'm with, and say, "Oh my gosh, like, it's so amazing, that you're on a cruise," and they'll say that, and then they follow it up by, like, I just don't really even understand, like, why you would come on a cruise when you can't see.
Yeah.
And that always just has blown my mind. I always laugh, and I'm like, well, there's more to it than just what you're able to see. I'm like, it's the experience, And so, and that's for me. And I really realized that not being able to see has allowed me the opportunity to really, in my opinion, see the world kind of in a way better than people with sight, because you start paying attention to the other senses and really getting like this deeper kind of sensory experience. And so all of that is what led me to have this interest in travel. The internship at the travel agency, they only did cruises, which was cool. I loved cruises. And so I worked with them. And at the end of the internship, they weren't in a position to take on anybody. And so the radio station wasn't either. And so I was really back at square one and didn't know what to do until I found out about this whole idea of becoming a home-based travel agent. And so in January of 2013, I opened my own company, own home-based travel agency called Better Days Travel. And, that has been my baby, my own business that I have worked at, for the past 8 years. Excuse me.
No
and so the travel agent, I loved it. Absolutely loved the business. And then, you know, it really, last year during the pandemic and stuff, when, you know, I was set to have the best year on record. And, you know, as with all of us in the travel business, the overnight it all went away. And that kind of just opened new opportunities for me.
Your business is now completely shut down, correct?
Yes, it is. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. That was a tough one. I must say that was a tough one, but I finally came to this point where I realized, I was like, I don't even want to book any more trips now, you know? And so I finally was like, you know what, Kevin, like, you know, it doesn't mean that I can't ever go back to it again, but for right now, you know, it's not for you. So,
all right. Looking at and listening, more of the listening than looking at. I've looked at your blog. I've listened to a number of your podcasts. How would you rate your podcast in what you are hoping to accomplish? Is it inspirational?
Well,
is it challenging? Is it?
Yeah. Yeah, of course. So it is definitely a thing that, for myself, that with every episode I produce, is that my whole goal for it is to inspire others.
Okay.
And specifically to, you know, with the guests that I have on my show, is to definitely just inspire people to never give up on life. You know, as I say, even when it seems like life has given up on you. And so that's where it's just this source that I'm hoping that, and have seen so far, where it's able to touch people all over the world by me getting to not only share little bits about me and my story, but other people's stories. You know, and so that's kind of the thing of the podcast, and you know, and I'm seeing we're opening more opportunities for me to expand into other ways of helping people as well. So,
well, I have
not
thoroughly
sure if that answered exactly your question.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have thoroughly enjoyed
Wonderful.
going back. And I've got, you know, you've had, what is it, 68 episodes now, and I have not listened. I've listened to maybe 12, so I've got a lot of catching up to do.
Yes.
As I am getting ready to get back to travel, as a matter of fact, I was just recently interviewed by the New York Times, and one of the things they said, with all the health issues you've had, and the fact that you're on oxygen, which I'm, you know, because I'm sitting still right now, I don't have my oxygen on because I'm fine until I have to walk 30 feet. Then I got to have the oxygen.
Yes.
But sitting here at my computer, you know, I'm perfectly fine. But they said, with all these issues, why would you put yourself through the danger of going on a cruise again? And I said, well, what the hell? You know, once I get on the boat, I will feel safer than going to Kroger's down the street and going in to buy some groceries. And they said, well, why is that? And I said, because the cruise lines and the CDC they've gotten their protocols and they're working. They're doing what they're supposed to do. When you were traveling, did you ever feel unsafe?
Never.
Yeah.
Never. No, and that even, and I can't remember now like what year it was and how long I've been doing travel, but I even at one point traveled without any family or friends, but with other travel agent friends to Jamaica. That was the first trip by myself, and went out of the country, and you know, I must say, you know, I mean, like, you know, Jamaica, that made me, I fell in love with that country, and never felt unsafe.
Now, this is purely, and this is one of those probably politically incorrect things, but I got to ask you, Kevin. You go on a cruise ship. It's brand new to you. You've never been on that ship before. How do you find your way around?
Well, thank goodness I'm not going on a cruise ship by myself. And so I'm with people, but you know what though, on a cruise ship, I don't really think it matters if you're blind or not, because I think everybody's lost on a cruise until the last day when you finally feel like you've
Yeah.
found, you
Yeah.
know. But you know, the other thing though I have to say about cruise ships in general is they're actually kind of simple to navigate, even when walking around by myself, for the fact that, you know, when we're talking about coming out of your cabin, I mean, most of it's nothing but a grid of straight hallways,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? And so it's pretty easy to, you know, understand, like, you know, I'm going to go down and I'm going to, you know, walk straight. I mean, the only thing that I have to watch out for are when the people put their trays from morning breakfast out in the hallway.
Yeah.
And, you know, and so that's the only hazard.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Kevin, this
And,
is
you know,
just. Go ahead.
yeah, I was going to say the other thing about cruising that for myself that has always been amazing to me is the staff and how incredible they are, because I've been on cruise where, you know, I've wanted to get somewhere, family has wanted to go do other things or whatnot. And, you know, and so if I'm having trouble, you know, there's staff always everywhere. And so I have never had an issue, you know, with a staff member. You know, normally they see this guy walking around with a cane. I kind of big, as I say, this big blind guy, they kind of draw a little bit of attention to myself. And so normally they come up asking if they can assist me. And I tell you, they're always amazing in helping me. So it really makes it quite easy. So
All right. One other question. You use a
okay.
cane. Have you ever considered, or is there a reason why not, to have a dog?
I have not. My family, from the time I went blind, they wanted me to have a seeing eye dog. So bad. And I personally I've never cared to. I've never have that responsibility. I have my little 12-pound black and white Sophia.
Yeah.
And she's by no means any type of seeing eye dog. She's a pet, and
Yeah.
she's definitely enough. So as I say, my cane, I don't have to feed it. I don't have to get it water.
Yeah.
It doesn't care if I don't take it on a walk, you know. So it works good. So
All right, Kevin, this has just been fascinating. I so appreciate you being with me, and we definitely will have to stay in touch.
absolutely wonderful. Well, thank you so much, and yeah, it was a pleasure coming on the show.
All right, thanks, Kevin. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, thank you.
My guest today has been Kevin Lowe. Lowe Down with Kevin Lowe. Just absolutely awesome. We'll talk to everybody after this.
Do you have a bad back, bad hips, bad knees, or any other mobility issues? Think about Scootaround. For scooters, walkers, wheelchairs, even oxygen needs, delivered right to your cabin. Scootaround for all your mobility needs on your upcoming cruise.
All right, folks, that was Kevin Lowe. Really, really interesting young man. I enjoyed that. All right. Let's get to some news. We do have a little bit this morning. Guests sailing on board the Carnival Cruise Line ships from New Orleans will be able to enjoy a much faster and streamlined checkout process. In partnership with Carnival Cruise Line, U.S. Customs and Border Protection expanded the use of facial biometrics technology to New Orleans. The Louisiana port is fast becoming one of the major cruise ports in the United States, showing progressive growth over the years. Guest identities can now be processed within only 2 seconds. Carnival Cruise Line has been instrumental in implementing the technology around the United States. This was one thing that I was not aware of. In cooperation with the Carnival Cruise Line, the U.S. Customs and Border Protection, the new process, which is to be installed in New Orleans, will enable guests to quickly disembark cruise ships in the port without waiting in the long lines to have their passports checked. U.S. Customs and Border Protection Field Operations Director said the following: a cruise travel resumes around our nation's ports, as cruise travel resumes around our nation's ports. We're working closely with the cruise industry to make travel safer and more efficient, while also supporting travel recovery efforts. The biometric facial comparison process adds an extra layer of security and streamliness travel into the United States by replacing the manual inspection of travel documents with a secure, touchless process. The technology is quickly establishing itself in various embarkation ports around the United States. Already, the technology is in use in Florida, New Jersey, Texas, California, Washington, and now Louisiana. How about that? So I have not been through the biometric scanner yet. Have you? The biometric technology is the same in use in airports when re-entering the United States and several other countries worldwide. Debarking passengers walk up to a facial comparison hardware. A system will take their photo and match their image to the travel documentation photo within 2 seconds. During the entire process, Carnival Cruise Line employees will be available to assist guests. So, all passports issued by the U.S. since 2007 are biometric, also known as e-passports. The passports contain a chip with all your personal information, such as your date of birth, name, date, place of birth, and passport photo. In some countries, passports can also have retina scans and fingerprints. The technology has proven successful. Besides skipping the long lines generally associated with debarkation, the safety aspect is certainly proving successful as well. U.S. Customs and Border Control has been able to catch more than 1,100 individuals with seemingly valid travel documents trying to enter the country, only to get caught out because of the biometric scan. So, it's working, guys. Be interesting now to see if I see that in some of my Florida travels, which are first for me, as I sail from Miami in January. Then I go to Galveston. Let's see, right now I'm not scheduled out of New Orleans until next January of 2023. But who knows? I still have some open months in 2022. We'll see. All right. This one, I've had a realm of emotions about, folks. 48 people on Symphony of the Seas tested positive before they got into Miami this weekend. It was first reported 44, and then there were 4 more, so it's a total of 48. The 48 people who tested positive represented 0.72% of the 6,074 passengers and crew members on board Symphony of the Seas, which left Miami on December 11th and made stops in St. Martin, St. Thomas, and Perfect Day on Cocoa Key. That, folks, is less than the CDC's 1%, where they have to take action. So the protocols are in place. The cruise line also notified passengers from that trip and from 2 others, a sailing that departed December 4th and one that departed December 18th, that a passenger who sailed on that same ship earlier in the month had tested positive for Omicron variant. A guest did not report symptoms to the onboard medical teams as outlined in the health protocols. Their post-cruise test results were subsequently confirmed as an Omicron variant. The 44 cases on the recently disembarked cruise were found as a result of immediately identifying close contacts after a guest tested positive, noting that each person was quarantined quickly. Everyone who tested positive was asymptomatic, and they continued to monitor their health. 6 guests were disembarked early, from the cruise and transported home. The remaining guests received assistance upon arrival in Miami on Saturday. In the email to passengers, Royal Caribbean said that the cases on December 11th sailing were unrelated to the Omicron case from the guest who sailed on December 4th. Not immediately known why those cases were unrelated, but that's what they said. The cruise line advised that passengers visit a certified testing center 3 to 5 days after disembarkation per the CDC guidance. On Saturday, the CDC said in a statement that the agency was aware of the situation on Symphony and that it was working with RCI, that's Royal Caribbean, of course, International, to gather more information about the cases and possible exposures, and Royal Caribbean International will be collecting specimens from the current voyage for genetic sequencing. On the CDC's cruise ship color status, Symphony is yellow, indicating the CDC has investigated and the ship remains under observation. No further action has been taken yet. So, folks, if you unbury that story, this was caused by some people that just weren't honest about the results that they had gotten and went on with things, and look what happened. So if you're interested, folks, in cruising, I've said this 1,000 times, only go cruising if you're going to follow the rules that are set in front of you. If you think it screws up your rights, then don't go cruising. And by all means, boy, be honest about the health situation. Don't try to hide it, because it's going to bite you in the butt before it's over with. All right, speaking of the new variant, at least 3 cruises on the Magnifica, the MSC Magnifica, have been canceled due to the new variant and various travel restrictions that have been put in place around the European Union and United Kingdom. The restart now is scheduled for January 16th. And that will be a cruise from Hamburg and stops back in Southampton. The problem, folks, is that a lot of shutdowns have taken place now in Europe, and they got travel restrictions all over the place now. Some places are closed down completely. Some are not letting people in from certain destinations. Some people can get in, but then have to be quarantined. There's all kinds of, all across the board. But anyway, because of the variant, this is the first thing we can totally blame on the variant. At least 3 cruises have been canceled by MSC Magnifica. All right. Also this weekend, the Carnival Sunshine and the Carnival Liberty came to the rescue. Both ships are back in service much earlier than expected when they sailed yesterday. While both ships are covering the Carnival Horizon, Carnival Liberty will be operating from Miami. Carnival Sunshine will be sailing from Fort Lauderdale and Miami. Carnival Horizon suffered mechanical issues during December and has made her way to dry dock in Palermo, Italy. While they have not said it per se, we're pretty sure that this is another issue with azipods. That at least is the information I've gotten from inside within the bowels of the Horizon, as it were. Carnival Cruise Line implemented some new health protocols. We talked about that on Saturday. But the one thing that I didn't mention on Saturday, because I didn't think it was going to be that big an issue, and then this has blown up more, especially in social media, than anything else, when Carnival decided there's no more smoking through January of 2022 on the casinos. These temporary changes through January 31st are due to the Omicron variant and are as follows. There is now no smoking in the casinos on Carnival cruise ships. Guests must wear a face mask and zip cover when drinking a beverage. In other words, you can drop it, take a sip, cover back up. Seats at gaming tables and slots are reserved for players only. For sailings in February and March 2022, guests in the casino will be able to smoke if they are seating and actively playing. Masks will now be required at all times when indoors, except when actively eating and drinking. They are not required in cabins or when you are able to practice social distancing on the outside decks. Guests are recommended to use higher grade masks indoors. So, I know a lot of people have mask fatigue, but I'm telling you, folks, all this is doing is trying to take steps to keep you healthier longer. And then if you should come down with it, as some people can, if you're fully vaccinated, you're going to have a much easier go of it than the folks out there that aren't vaccinated. And they're trying to do everything to keep the spread down ahead of time. So, and again, folks, if you want to complain and you want to, use that adage, oh, my rights are being stepped on, and don't go, stay home. Go get in a flea bag motel for a weekend. So, all right, let's see who's fussing at me over in the chat room. Yeah, Hot Air says I got a few details right. I'm not surprised on his pictures. That was awesome, Hot Air, when you came out of the jungle and into the blue hole. That was pretty good. That was a typical Hot Air Tom clip. I loved it. All right. Jack's with us from Conroe, 46 degrees and cloudy, and then he had to go teleconference. He does come back later. I saw that in there. Elizabeth was with us down in Cozumel, of course. She says, Buenos dias to everybody. 84 degrees there. Oh, with a pleasant breeze. That's disgusting. I'm freezing my tuchus off here, and I got to go to therapy this afternoon, PT. So, of course, Hot Air is with us. I'm doing the Hidden Gems tour again in July on the Pearl. Now that I know the energy needed, I best cancel the evening tour and the next day e-bike tour. Yeah, that was a pretty extensive tour you went on there, Hot Air. I admit on that. Nikki's with us. Carol's with us. And that's when everybody said they can't hear me now. Elizabeth says, I don't know if you're back to normal, but we can hear you. That's cool. I don't know if you guys could hear the second, I don't know if you want to call it an echo or not, but it was blaring in my ear. And I still don't know how I ended up with two shows running, this show running twice, with a 10-second delay on it. So me and technical issues. Not sure how I did it. I hope I don't ever do it again. So, Hot Air says he was reviewing the 2022 cruises. Not sure where we went wrong, but the Sky Cruise we are doing does not go to Key West. Maybe that was September 21 that canceled. That might have changed, Hot Air. Hang on a minute. Let me go look at the latest that I have on that. Let's see, that is August 21st, 7 nights, Norwegian Sky stops in Puerto Plata, Tortola, St. Thomas, and Great Stirrup Key. Yeah, that's it's Eastern Caribbean now. So yeah, it does not go to Key West and West. At least that's what I'm showing on my schedule, which I pulled up after I booked it. So I, pulled up the itinerary. But yeah, Puerto Plata, Tortola, St. Thomas, and Great Stirrup Key. That's what's going to happen when I'm with Hot Air Tom and his bride. Cindy Lee's with us. Katie's here. I dropped Katie a message that I chatted when I was chatting with Kevin before we taped the interview today. I did. I mentioned Katie on there, and I mentioned our friend Kenneth up in Pennsylvania. So, Cindy's glad you had a good vacation. And there's Jack's back. And then I was, for once, folks, and this is unusual, I was able to actually get the chat on my other computer from Facebook. So I never have understood why this happens. Facebook, if you're chatting on Facebook, it does not show in StreamYard. Now, like where I said, hi, Bonnie, on Facebook over here on my other computer, I saw that she came in and said, hi, Chillie, or something like that. And I went to the chat over there to answer her back. And that showed up. So it comes from my computer. It shows up here. But the Facebook post itself does not show. And that makes no sense to me. Of course, I don't understand anything about technical crap. So, yeah. But that's my logic is just different than that. Hot Air was thinking the port was in Alaska, and I swear I had Sitka, and I said, by the way, you are right. It is Alaska. That is an Alaska port, but you were incorrect on Sitka. Of course, Jack's telling everybody hello. And by the way, Vicky Floyd Warleaf was on Facebook, and I said hello to her after she made a mention. She's one of my Facebook friends. So I responded to her, and it pops up in this chat like I was talking to somebody in this chat room. So it's a strange setup. Hot Air says the weather turned out better than the forecast. Friday was a nice sunny day. That was the day I did all the fun swim stuff. Thursday was too windy and slightly chilly. Okay, if no wind. And Hot Air wants to know how Jack's doing. Where did you go to school in Florida? Did you have a TVI? Yeah, of course. Katie, we taped that earlier, so Kevin wasn't with us. He worked with OutsideAgents.com, was where he got his start and started up his business and ran with it for they made it 7-8 years, and then the pandemic it killed it. So, Hot Air says we're going to do an EMED test on Thursday prior to traveling to visit our parents in Pennsylvania to make sure we didn't pick up any undesirable microns on the way home. We were in the Newark Airport United Lounge for 5 hours. Luckily, the area we were in was very empty. I worked on laptop most of the time. Very nice. Hot Air says rats. He's wrong. Tom's wrong for once. Jack says I'm okay. Now have home and portable oxygen. My NCL January cruise is set 3 days to Bahamas from Miami. Airline wheelchair assisted travel from Houston to Miami and scoot around on the ship. Jack says Cruise Amigo logo. And yeah, I saw that and changed the Cruise Amigo logo back to my Chillie's Cruises logo. That's typical, Jack. If there's some way of screwing something up, I'll screw it up. I promise you. Did you ever look into Air Hawk chair? It folds and travels well, solves the problem of getting from car to gate and gate to transportation and into the ports to the room. What date did you sail, Jack? We will be in Fort Lauderdale for Silhouette, January 23rd and 24th. Elizabeth says, Kevin was so inspirational. Thanks for having me on the show. I enjoyed it. I really did. I enjoyed Kevin a lot. I'll look for Air Hawk for future cruises. Emily's with us. Hi, Emily. Good to see you again. Jack says January 14th to 17th. Hot Air says we'll miss each other by a couple days. We fly into Miami on the 23rd, and we'll take the metro to Brightline Station to get to Fort Lauderdale. Emily says I saw a Kroger's commercial, and they had a new cart with a computer on it, and you can't check your items out too. Huh? Well, I haven't seen that at mine yet. What an ambition young man. Good for him, living his best life. One inspirational story. I'm glad you guys responded to this. I enjoyed doing this today. The facial biometrics process in Miami was fantastic. No more customs lines when disembarking. That's cool. I didn't know it had gotten as widespread as it has. I was aware of the technology. So when I saw that it's going into New Orleans, and then on down in the article were all these other places that are already using it. So that's awesome. Hot Air says in Port Canaveral, they had the facial recognition right on the ship. After you scanned out of that ship security, you stopped at the facial scanner and then off to pick up your luggage on the way. Neat. Great interview, great guest. Thanks, Bonnie. My travel partner has only 30% vision in one eye. I'm amazed at her positive attitude and her enthusiasm for travel. She's always upbeat and nothing holds her back. I'm lucky to travel with her. Absolutely. God bless her. I think that's awesome. And it's, when I see somebody like that or somebody like Kevin, it makes me look back at myself and think, damn, and you felt sorry for yourself? Are you nuts? So, it inspires me beyond anything. So, Deb also has problems with some excursions. We do what we can to make the most of it. Honestly, I admire and respect her so much. She is truly inspirational. You got that, Carol. Same with my friend Barbara. She rarely allows things to stop her. She's a teacher and visually impaired and teaches Braille. Tell them, Chillie, wear those masks or stay home. Love it. Yeah, I get it. I got a couple masks in. I'm gonna be modeling one of my new masks today when I go to PT. So, Bonnie says she just approved a post on Emma's page from someone on Symphony. Apparently, they dropped the ball as far as testing on board and the medical faculty. It wasn't 100% done according to plan. However, the issue that caused the thing originally was somebody trying to hide the fact that they had a positive test, and then subsequently had a negative test, and only they didn't report it so that they could add, multiple tests. And it was, in fact, a real positive, and then it spread. So that all came from a person trying to hide what was going on. Emily says, mask up people, it's not that hard. Yeah, I totally agree. And I am so, of course, because I'm still doing medical stuff with my PT, you have to wear a mask at all times. They'll let me, if I'm out of breath real bad, I can pull it down long enough to get my breath, but it goes back up. And they're fully masked. All my therapists and the folks that work there in the therapy, everybody's masked all the time. It's nothing for me anymore. I don't even think about it. My only problem is still because we went through that period where we went out to dinner and we got used to and got in the habit of not masking. And now it's making myself get back in that habit again. Now, of course, we've started cooking at home more now, which is probably a healthy thing at least for me, to stay healthy for the next 30 days. So I can go on the cruises, assuming that we don't have any major issues with the spread of this thing. So keeping our fingers crossed on that one. Hot Air says, I think the key is finding the right mask, buy a good quality one. I like the Benny ones that we bought, comfortable, stay on the nose and does not suck into the mouth when breathing. Do they fog up your eyeglasses? Bonnie wants to know. Yeah, that's an issue with all of us have that wear glasses. Is the port of the day Juneau? Nope, that's incorrect, Bonnie. But you're close. Not too bad, better than most. They do have a nose piece to bend to fit around your nose and keep it snug. Yeah, that seems to be fairly consistent now. I think they called it a smart cart at Kroger's, and all you need is your credit card. Huh. That's interesting. The airlines are infamous for destroying motorized wheelchairs, which is why I don't buy one. I use the wheelchair assist from airport and rent a scooter for the cruise. That's why I'm not taking my scooter from here. Although my scooter that I have at home is much more of a lightweight scooter than the ones I rent from Scooter Round, which for my purposes on the ship is way better than my little lightweight one that I have here. Yeah, my little lightweight, it's when I go to the doctor tomorrow, for instance. Oh, by the way, no live show tomorrow. I forgot to say that earlier. No live show. It will be taped. I will post it. It will go on at 11 o'clock, but it won't be live. I've got a doctor appointment that I completely missed, and it's at 11 o'clock. So, and I meant to say that first thing this morning, so I hope everybody's still with me. So no live show on Tuesday, tomorrow. Anyway, that's going to wrap me up for today. It's time to go to PT, guys. And again, no live show tomorrow. The show will go on. I will do the show, and it will start at 11 o'clock on the nose. So just plan on coming back to where you are now at 11 o'clock tomorrow, and you'll catch it. All right. That's it for today. This is the Old Fat Travel Guy. Stay safe, stay healthy, wear your mask, don't do anything stupid, and all that stuff. And think about cruising. And one of these days, we'll all meet on the high seas. This is the Old Fat Travel Guy. Later, y'all.
I regularly post videos on all facets of the travel and cruise industry. So if you like to keep up with the latest in cruise ships, ports of call, cruises themselves, Chillie chats, and travel and cruise industry news, just hit the little subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner, hit the bell notification so you'll be notified when a new video is up or we go live. This video was produced by Chillie's Cruises.